Please do not choose violence.
I am.
No, don't, because you got on my ass about what? You can say that.
8 seconds.
No, you can say that. You got on me about having a review because of Aaron Rodgers that dinged our 5-star rating.
I actually thought that was funny.
Okay. Right? Now I get a 1-star review on Apple because of your F-bombs.
Your potty mouth.
So let's dial back the jersey.
No, I was going to get to that, though.
Let's dial back the jersey a little bit.
No, what I was going to choose violence about was that it's Thursday and that we're live.
Mm-hmm.
And that means you can't get into your whole all right, well, let's put the cork board. Let's do this. And then we'll do this. It's like, sometimes, man, just do the show.
What are you talking about?
Let's just do the show.
What are you talking about? You're the one who wanted to move the dang pennant.
No.
I want to wait. I want my.
No, I'm talking about our
Here.
Tarantino.
Oh, that.
I'm saying it's easier to just do the show.
I get that, but sometimes we have guests that can only come on at some time, and
Absolutely.
I'm trying to get out of here on a very efficient schedule because we are both busy people.
I'm busy, very busy.
We're all busy. Anyway, you want to officially start the show?
Hit the buttons.
All right, let me hit the button here. Where's our actually official intro? Here it is. Let's go. I love giving the people a YouTube exclusive. Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Drew, by the way, did text us about patience and very, very smart man. He doesn't give a damn about the Carolina Panthers. So very, very smart man. Smart. Incredibly smart man. And it's Thursday. It's just after 2:00. That means we are live. A Sleek Fleet OG live. Check them out. Sleek-fleet.com. We are in the thick of the football season. Hurricane season is just under a month away from getting going. We're going to get preseason games here relatively soon. So if you're thinking about transportation to get to all these sporting events, well, Joe, what can you do?
Sleek-fleet.com. Get yourself signed up. Get yourself ready. Maybe save on parking. Maybe feel comfortable about having a few adult beverages. All those good things.
Now, here's the thing. Thursdays, we're a little loose on Thursdays. Not as structured as we are during my Tarantino-esque editing.
We're live, baby.
I know we're live, but we're also a little looser on the Thursday shows. Although you haven't gotten into the red, white, and Gatorade. Did you forget the Gatorade?
I forgot the Gatorade, which means I can't have the one because it'll just put me to sleep.
Oh man!
But there'll be a beverage involved in today's episode.
Too bad. So today was a big moment for OG Media LLC. Huge moment for us.
Did you bring it?
I brought it.
Yes.
Do you want to explain why you felt like this was a big deal for our little toddler company?
So we were invited to the unveiling at the arena today, which is now the Lenovo Center. I've officially called it just the L. It's the L. I like the L. Like we're in Chicago. Yeah, that's it.
They might not like that.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
State fans will see the humor in it.
Right.
Rod might not like it.
No, he'll make sure that it's not.
Right.
Although you'll never know based on his post-game comments.
Excellent point. Excellent point.
No, so we go over there. There's a clear table that says media check-in. And I was like, oh, okay. Walked over. I'm looking at the names on because the credentials were face up. And I'm like, last name's Giglio.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, don't. Does that start with a G? No, which is always like, oh God, man. And it's no. And then they're like, well, maybe you're at the other table. And then there was a content creator, influencer table.
Yes.
So I walked over there and they were like, oh, you're the other Joe. And I was like, yes, I am. Yes, I am. They gave me my wristband. They gave me my goodie bag. And I was like,
yeah.
What are the rules? I go, are there beers? And they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
Okay.
Welcome to the other side.
They're like, hey, there's practice. You can go watch practice. I was like, cool.
Awesome.
We saw Tulski.
Yeah.
Told him, man, those Cal Bears tearing it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was like, oh, okay.
He's a little locked in right now. we're gonna catch in with Eric Tulski. I know we're gonna catch up with Eric Tulski. I ran into Tom Dundon as well.
Mm-hmm.
I actually already got a question in the the YouTube comments from Bennett. Hey, Joe, next time you talk to Dundon, can you ask him why he insists on wearing Whalers gear every time he's here for official Canes business? It's a funny bit at this point. He loves his Whalers stuff. I mean, the guy brought it back. I was in the eye earlier, which we'll get to in a second. And there's way more Whalers stuff in the eye today than I remember in the past.
You know what today kind of feels like?
What does today feel like?
Today feels like we got a lot to get to.
We do have a lot to get to today. You're absolutely
right.
But
the bag that we got from Lenovo.
Yeah.
Shout out to all of our friends at Lenovo. A couple people come up to us. Hey, love the podcast. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you. And again, we always thank those people. But extra special shout out to the people who are like, hey, man, is Ernie coming out today? Like, are we going to see your dad? You know, because that's his former employer.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool.
My dad, there's a lot of former IBMers that moved over to there was, I believe it was David. Who,
Ovies Synergy.
I forgot what level title he is, so apologies. He's like, there's like Ernie, the Lenovo employee, and Joe, his son. And this is like crossover content. I was like, no, my dad's not here today. So a lot of IBMers
still in Madrid, or is he back?
No, he's back. He's
nice.
back. He's chilling. Yeah, I think he's gonna make a special appearance in Garner tonight.
Oh, awesome.
But I think the reason why we were
maybe I'll make an appearance. Are you going to Shady's?
We can.
Let's do it.
So I think the reason why we were classified as creators / influencers as opposed to media is because my friend Brandy, who works in the marketing department over at Lenovo. Apologies, Brandy, I forgot your title. I think
we're big on titles.
Huge on titles, right? I think she was like, yeah. No, they're like social media. Like, let them cook. Let them cook, right? So shout out Brandy. So we got a tote bag. How do we feel about there? How do we feel about tote bags?
Actually, you wanted to give away a tote bag. Now that I have one, I'm like, that's actually fairly handy. So
see,
points for you.
Now I'm thinking about tote bag, or perhaps we do a can cooler, right? Something you can take to the pool, or the
either
beach,
one,
whatever,
little 6-pack jobby. I like that.
I looked at this. I'm like, look, I love swag. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I also kind of view this as reconnaissance for what we should do.
I did feel bad about it. Like when I saw their swag, I'm like, man, our swag game stinks.
Right? Like we got to step our swag game up. So first things first, it is not an official event without a tumbler.
No.
You need to have a tumbler. Everybody loves giving out tumblers.
Man, that's sharp.
That's a clean looking tumbler, man. This will probably be added to my my coffee collection. So this will get use. I'm all about this. I've considered doing, should we do OG Media tumblers?
You know, I struggle with the concept of giving things away. I did see an ad on my socials for 6 tumblers for $100.
6 for $100?
Yeah.
Nah, that's too expensive.
Too much?
That's too much for us. That's way too much.
I feel like that the old place, they were getting them for 17 a pop engraved. So it's pretty close.
Maybe. Hats are cheaper. Hats are cheaper. These are felt koozies. I like this. I like this. Actually, I need a shirt that said "Live, Laugh, Lenovo." I'm kind of mad my dad's not still there, so I can get something like that.
Jealous? Yes.
So okay, we got that. Now everybody needs a koozie. We got OG koozies, so we got that covered. Wait, you got a swag bag? Why are you taking?
I know. I was gonna have a beer.
Oh, here, take it.
Yeah,
take it. All right, what else we got here? We got. This is a navy blue. Rumble fold tote bag. Here's another tote bag that we can try.
Oh, I thought you said it was for my electronics.
I thought it was for electronics. I thought it was like a cord keeper of some sort. You thought it was a poncho.
I did.
You thought
this open it. It kind of looks like a poncho.
You thought this thing was a poncho. I don't know if this is something that we can add. By the way, I still have the Lenovo wristband on me.
I don't know. These are sunglasses were in there too.
Yeah. So I think this is. What is this? I'm very confused by this.
Maybe it folds out and does something else.
I don't know.
All right, so we have a bet today. I'm not going to swear.
Okay.
Let's get a timestamp here.
Okay.
Pre-beer.
All right.
8:55.
Put this on the side. Well, I got the shades. The shades are looking good. I like the shades. Got the Wayfarer, classic Wayfarer look. I like these. Something we can have fun with. Let's see. What do we get? What do we got here? There we go. Put it over my glasses so I can see. What else do we have here? We have mints. You want to do OG mints?
I had them already.
Oh, you already had some?
To the people behind us.
Oh, okay. That's funny. Yeah, so maybe we can do OG mints. This is something we can give out to the people. Fresh breath for your fresh takes.
There you
go. We can do that. What's in here?
That's a glass.
Oh, am I going to have to add this to the collection in the back? Is it like a Lenovo Center glass, or is it just, my dad has these.
Okay. I don't. I now have one, so I'm excited.
All right, so that's that. That's all we got in the swag bag. I'll clean this up a little bit later on. But yeah, appreciate all the swag. So some quick things. about the Lenovo Center stuff. We're going to talk to David Hale here from ESPN in just a second. I want to commend everybody over at the changeover, right?
Taking the over. I know, Bubba. I know. I would too. I would fade my action as well.
From Davis, I was just getting used to calling it the entertainment and sports arena, and they change it again. I'm like, yeah. We've all made the joke.
That's what I'm saying. It's the L.
We've all made the joke, but this is not.
It works both ways. You can say take the L. You beat them, you take that L.
That works. When I showed up, the first thing that I noticed was all the cones had Lenovo on them.
Oh, the detail,
dude. I was
cones in the parking lot, the shirts on the employees.
Seeing all the guys that we see all the time, right? They all had their fresh polos. I even asked, like, when did you guys get these polos? This morning. I'm like, what'd you do with the old ones? We had to give them back. I'm like, you could have gotten some money on eBay for that. Like, I would have paid for that. Get me an old one, right? At one point,
you got chastised for your credential.
I had my media credential just to make sure I could still get into Canes practice and whatnot. And I was told, no. I'm like, what? Because it doesn't have the logo on it. I'm like, oh, good point. Didn't think about that. The attention to detail was so serious that they even changed the Wi-Fi name at the arena. I'm just looking for something like, but somebody forgot, right? No, they changed the damn Wi-Fi. Okay. As Jess pointed out, I went to the Canes 5K stuff yesterday, and Google Maps had been updated.
Whoa.
For Lenovo Center. So that's kind of funny. And then what else do we have here? I had pulled up the rink itself. So you've got the new center ice that just has a very basic Lenovo Center. I had pointed out that if you're going to have a new corporate naming champion, then it's good that it's red. Their primary color is red. Yeah. But there's a hint of purple in there.
Yeah, more than a hint.
My understanding is that the purple is a bit of a surprise. You got guys like John. Love John. John's a complainer, and John knows he's a complainer. And he said the purple has to go. But what about our ECU Pirate friends?
Yeah.
ARG. Carolina fans were always in their feelings about how they wanted to feel included about these types of things. They already have UNC colors on the ice.
And the Marcus Page Arena.
Forever.
Paul mentions.
Exactly. So you have that going for you. What's a little purple for the Pirates? No big deal. So anyway, that was a cool event. The other thing that I noticed, I went into the eye, and I mentioned a lot of the stuff that was Whalers. And I have a question for you of how are we, do we have sufficient funds in the OG Media bank account to get this satin Hartford Whalers starter jacket or the Canes classic style starter pullover?
I would sign off on the satin jacket for no other reason that it is nice, but you just bought a satin jacket.
I did.
Like, how many satin jackets do we actually need?
The limit does not exist.
Are you sure?
The limit does not exist. You know how many satin jackets I have in the closet right now?
For real?
I have a lot of satin jackets in the closet.
Now, from you or for Pops?
Both.
Both.
Some that were from my dad and my grandfather, some that I've acquired.
I am okay with you getting a coach's jacket. Obviously not from the Canes, but I'm okay with a home field because I do think, I think you would wear that.
Yeah, no, I would definitely wear that.
See, I don't really wear jackets. I wear hoodies.
Yeah, you are a hoodie guy. I like to be layered up. So the Canes open up camp today. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of like hardcore Canes talk and whatnot, but it's kind of interesting that it's fine. It's whatever. There's a time and place for all those types of things. But the one thing that it kind of hit me when I was down in the corridor and I was talking to Adam Gold. I made the mistake of asking Adam, "What's up?" And I got deep dive, baby.
Marty Natchez. Kokanyemi looks skinnier.
Gold gave me a full deep dive and all this other stuff. And then Mike Sunheim, who again, theme of the day, I don't know anybody's titles anymore.
Sure.
So Mike's got like a high level VP of communications or whatever it is at the Canes. And it dawned on me. I said, look, we can go through multiple name changes. Ressa, RBC, PNC, now Lenovo Center. But look, it was like the meme from what's his face, Paul Rudd. Look at us, huh? Who'd have thought, right? So it's the three of us, and it dawned on me. I'm like, man,
changing names, changing
titles. 25 damn years. Three of us are still in this damn corridor. What's that say?
There you go.
Look at us. Same with you, Joe. Look at you.
Hey, I was on the other side of the ice today, so I don't know about you, but that feels like moving up.
Yeah, that did feel like a big win for you. That you felt like, you know what? I'm an influencer now. I'm on the other side.
Housekeeping.
Big thanks to Enovana. Check them out online, ENOVANA.com. Green Cleaning Solutions.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
We got OG Fans newsletter and premium podcast. We got a new Law of the Wolf that'll be coming out later in the week. We'll have an OG mailbag segment that will drop tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes, I have confirmed. My friend Elliot Avent will be joining me tomorrow for a conversation, a wide,
awesome,
ranging conversation.
All you got to do is go to ogtrianglemedia.com, sign up today for as little as $13 a month. You can save money when you buy for the year.
Yeah, 1 free month.
Hey, man, it's all about that. And what do you get with that? You get premium podcasts and newsletters. For instance, speaking of the Canes, Tom Edwards wrote a nice primer for Canes Camp, guys to keep an eye on. Again, that's all at ogtrianglemedia.com. Big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. You can check them out online at bugsbite.com. I need Mosquito Authority to spray down the West End wine and beer section at Walnut Creek because the mosquitoes, I don't know what those mosquitoes, they must be surviving on spilled beer and God knows what.
There's some Jurassic Park elements to that place.
So I need Mosquito Authority to come out there. Check them out, bugsbite.com. Also, big thanks to Longleaf Swine in downtown Raleigh. I may or may not be there this weekend because you put the brunch in my head to get the breakfast burrito. I might have to go now.
The breakfast burrito is off the charts.
So
phenomenal.
If you want to cater your home tailgating or an actual tailgating event, you can go to longleafswine.com right now and get that order in, and they'll take care of it for you. Speaking of tailgating, maybe you don't want to go through any of that hassle. You just want to pull up, get some food, and walk to the game. You can do that. You can do that at Breeze Through right there outside Carter Finley Stadium. Of course, they got Breeze Throughs all across North Carolina, conveniently located just outside many, many football stadiums. And they got beer caves and everything else. They got what you need for your tailgate. And if you're staying at home and you just are depressed by what you've seen out of the Carolina Panthers, you're afraid of what Clemson and NC State's going to do. You know what? Vibe, man.
I was going to say, you got
Vibe.
The Ayahuasca King tonight.
That's
on the
right.
Thursday night against the Pats.
That's right.
Against Jacoby Brisket, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So you know what? Go to Nature's Relief, naturesreliefhempstore.com, RELEAF hempstore.com. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline from ESPN, he is David Hale. David, what's going on, man?
Yeah, that's nothing. Nothing good.
Originally, for full transparency, I reached out to you earlier this week because Giglio has been referencing your feature on NC State quarterback Grayson McCall. And
somebody read it. That's good.
Oh, stop it. Plenty of people read it, dude. It was very, very good.
Excellent.
It's excellent stuff. And we've just been using that in context of what we've seen out of NC State, which we'll get to. Because after I texted you, you had to go into, put your little press hat on with the little card in there that says press.
I hate when that happens.
I know you hate that. And you had to go to the phone booth and be like, I'm hearing there's a Donnybrook down in Charlotte. What is going on between Florida State and Clemson? So, I, having thought about it after reading your story and this proposal that is making the rounds after a scheduled president's meeting in the ACC about splitting up revenue and giving the highly rated teams more of the money, I felt like, after sitting on it, felt like more of a byproduct of the court-ordered mediation and some sort of attempt to settle this thing between the ACC, Florida State, and Clemson. Is that an accurate representation of what you've been reporting on this week?
Yes. And in fact, if anything, I think that's maybe even pushing it a little further than it actually is. So the reference that I've made is like, if I said to you, I would love to continue coming on this lovely show that you guys have, I'm going to need $500,000 for each appearance. I need like Nick Saban, Aaron Rodgers on McAfee's show money. And you said, well, let me consider that. Technically, we're negotiating. Technically, there is no chance in hell that the end result is going to be me getting that money, but we're technically negotiating.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you and I know you guys have talked about this as much as anybody has, like this has been sort of the play, and I don't think it's been a bad one that Florida State and to a lesser degree Clemson have continued to make for 2 years now, which is y'all aren't talking about the things we want you to talk about. Y'all aren't considering the things we want you to consider. So we're going to make a bunch of freaking noise about something that is not necessarily anything right now, but it'll rile people up enough that it pushes the discussion points in our favor a little bit further. So what this basically is a proposal that Clemson and Florida State put together and offered to the ACC. Most of the presidents have seen it and at least had preliminary discussions on it. At the time that story was written 2 days ago, there was not a single AD outside of Clemson or Florida State that I talked to who had actually read the details of this yet. I would be a little bit surprised if the actual proposal that was put forth is anything close to what ultimately gets agreed to, if anything gets agreed to. But I will say
Okay.
two things. One, I was in Amelia Island spring of 23 when the success initiatives finally were passed, and that basically happened entirely because Florida State and Michael Alford raised hell with media that then trickled out into the big Brett McMurphy story that then forced the ADs to talk about stuff they had not planned on talking about.
Mhm.
So it worked really well. But at the time, Alford wanted these same things within those success initiatives. And at the time, everybody else in that room said, hell no. I have talked to, I don't want to, I'm going to say probably 12 of the 17 ADs in the conference at this point, and I've had one that was basically like, I really don't want to do anything like this. I've had probably two more that are like, I don't see a good path to doing it, but I'm open to the conversation. And everybody else has been like, all right, yeah, cool, let's talk about it. So it's progress. It's absolutely progress.
Sure.
However, the devils are in the details without question. How exactly you base ratings or you judge brand value is a very slippery thing to hold on to. But I think everybody, having now been through this for basically 8 months, and frankly longer, if you want to talk about that August of last year Florida State board meeting where basically the writing was on the wall,
Yeah.
that everybody on both sides has realized that the legal side of this is unpleasant. So we've talked about this before, guys. Like, what's the most logical end point here? Because I don't think there was a logical end point in which either side got everything that they wanted and either side walked away happy. People were going to take bullets here. This, to me, feels like a way to step back from the abyss and make things work for at least a little while longer. But the other valid point that I've had more than one AD bring up to me is a little while longer is a little while longer. And Clemson and Florida State have shown you who they are and what they're about. And there's no guaranteeing that even if this smooths things over for the next 3 or 4 or
Yeah.
5 years, that there's any real future down the line when things are so chaotic as they are.
Well, we act as though we haven't seen this before. I mean, we saw Texas and Oklahoma do this in the Big 12. Texas got everything that they wanted. They had their own network, which if you really wanted a deep dive, you can get into how that is why we're ultimately here, if you think about it. So it's like, yeah, you get what you want, but that doesn't mean you're going to stick around because you're still going to be complaining about what kind of money that you actually need to keep up with everybody else.
There's a great Simpsons line where Homer tells Mr. Burns, "You're the richest guy I know," and Mr. Burns says, yes, but I'd trade it all for a little more. And that to me perfectly sums up how college football's business works. I would trade it all for a little more.
Yeah.
You're not letting me play my favorite parlor game. Who are the ADs that David Hale talked to? That were like, oh, yeah, I'm okay with it. And then the ones who were like, oh, no, this doesn't work. I think ultimately,
I bet Bubba was cool with it.
We ultimately can all sit here and go, the ACC is more valuable with Clemson and Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see lucid, clear heads in a room having a discussion, even with Florida State, that says, we are more valuable. You are more valuable with us than without us. Like, fair enough. But I think ultimately you look at this and you look at Florida State and how many times do you draw the line in the sand, right?
Yeah.
But I love this game, though, of thinking of who is he talking about? Because I've been thinking about this because I said yesterday on the podcast when we talked to John Wilner, yeah, Boston College, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, yeah, they should all be like, yeah, cool. We need you.
Well, I mean, if
But
talking to Wilner's a great point because, like, what does Cal and Stanford have to lose at this point? Like,
Right.
yeah, take more
Right.
revenue. We're not getting any of it anyway.
We're good.
So, like, the 2/3 vote to me,
SMU's like,
Yeah,
what money?
whatever you want.
Whatever you guys want to
the
do.
2/3 vote to me is like never in question. My real thought process now becomes that let's get back to that middle class, shall we?
Yeah.
Like, what does the NC State think? What does Virginia Tech think? What does Virginia think? These are all of the schools that I have to think are sitting here going, well, not Virginia, but the alternative is being in a conference with App State and ECU and in the American whatever ACC, as we're seeing with the Pac-12. Like, that's the alternative.
And that, frankly, one of the things that I have been told is the biggest thing that has, like, of course, the lawsuits have changed people's thinking, but having been in a room with folks from Cal and Stanford and hearing their story firsthand has been a little bit of a wake-up call for some folks in the ACC too.
Yeah. Well, to Giglio's point, I was at the Raleigh Sports Club, and I got a question about what is the future of the ACC, and I brought up. I said, whatever you think of the ACC, it could still be the name ACC, but that might not be the ACC, as we mentioned with the Pac-12. It's the Pac-12 in name only. It's why we asked Wilner, like, at this point, why is it still the Pac-12? Why is it just not the Mountain West that's absorbing Washington State and Oregon State? And apparently the Pac-12 brand still has television pool, just like I guess the ACC would still have some level of television pool, which all of this, to close the conversation on this, the other thing I wanted to ask you in the conversations that you've had, I will consume some Florida State-centric viewpoints on what's going on here. And the biggest voice, I think we would all agree, is on the Cover 3 podcast, Bud Elliott, right? He's a Florida State guy, sourced up. And he keeps hinting as though the ACC seems to be worried about some of the court decisions, that even like legal people are surprised that Florida State has gotten some of the wins that they've gotten in the Florida portion of this. But then I think that my conversations with my wife, a lawyer, who's just like, this is going to be in court forever. And that's the other ticking time bomb here, in that if 2030 is identified as this time frame of, hey man, things are going to get really real in 2030, are we really going to be screwing around in court all this time and really miss the boat on the next seismic shift that's happening? And I feel like nobody's actually winning in court. I think they're realizing being in court's really expensive. We're complaining about money all the time, and here we are. Billable hours are not cheap, okay, for this kind of stuff. And at some point, I do wonder if Florida State and Clemson also wonder, man, how long will you be in this damn thing? And that a settlement ultimately is what is necessary.
I think that's the flip side to the Florida State and Clemson can sit here and say, you are more valuable with us than without us.
Yes,
absolutely.
They can.
But I think NC State, Virginia Tech, and Virginia or whoever else can shoot back at them. Cool. Where are you going?
Right.
Jim Phillips can shoot back at them. Cool. Where are you going?
Full share? You're going full share
Where
somewhere?
Are you going?
Okay.
So that's where I think the compromise becomes. Yeah, I agree. Like, anyone could sit in a room and agree that Florida State and Clemson are the two biggest brands in the ACC.
Yeah.
Anyone. So that's where I think you can get yourself to a common ground. But you can't also say to them, we're going to give you more money and shorten the deal so you could get out of the deal sooner. Like, there's no way they have that kind of bargaining leverage.
I tend to agree with exactly that. And what I have been told is, like, the 2030 shortened deal is, again, a first step in a negotiation. I say I want $500,000 per show, and eventually we'll settle on you give me a gift certificate for $25.
We got that.
Hooters. And
David, I just went to the Lenovo Center. Do you want like, dude, you want the mints or do you want the tote bag? I got a tote bag for you if you want.
I would love a tote bag. Yeah,
okay.
Next
time you come through,
I have a pretty hefty collection of tote bags that I always say I'm going to bring to the grocery store and never do, and then I get new tote bags. And
when I saw that blurb at the end of your story about, we let's move the granted rights up to 2030, I'm like, who thought that would fly?
Yeah. I mean, and not to mention that decision is, I think, not even going to come down to what, even if Jim Phillips wanted to do it. There's another entity who may or may not sign my actual paychecks that would have some say in that. That may not be thrilled with the conversation. But, to your guys' point, I think there is some stuff that's going on here that is not strictly financially related. And I think it works on both sides. So I think there is certainly a little bit of a brand issue, a big brand issue with the ACC right now. And
Yeah.
that trickles down to recruiting. And when it becomes this constant conversation of there's two big boys up here and everybody else down here, for the average recruit, maybe that doesn't matter. But for a elite recruit, who are the guys that Clemson and Florida State are going after, it does matter when you are being recruited against, when Florida or South Carolina says you get to play games in the SEC, the big boy league, not AAA over here. That matters on the recruiting trail. The flip side is that, like, Dabo Sweeney is no moron. He knows his chance of getting to the playoff is better in the ACC than it is in the SEC. And so those two things, like, there's lots of other ancillary things that you've got to kind of count into the equation that goes beyond just money. I had somebody point out the other day, look at next week's TV schedule and look where all the ACC games are. Like, look at what network and what time slot
Right.
they are, and
Right.
they're getting destroyed by the SEC right now.
Mhm.
Now, again, it's a 1 week sample size, and all those things can change and what have you. But there's a lot of concerns that are not just monetary here. And you guys pointed out that 2030 number, and who knows exactly what the inflection point will be. But I haven't talked to anybody who doesn't think, like, somewhere in that 2029 to 2031 timeline, things are going to start looking even more different than they do now.
Man, 2028 is when it starts. You mentioned Dabo not being a dummy. Hey, he just learned how to use YouTube TV.
He still doesn't know where the CW is, but he knows how to make
Right.
YouTube TV work. So
I'll say this for the playoff though, and how this year is shaken out. Like, this is a worst case scenario for the ACC. You got Florida State in the tank. That's not good for the ACC. You get Clemson getting embarrassed by Georgia. Fair enough. Georgia embarrasses. They're now what, 46-0 against teams not named Alabama since the start of the 21 season. So, like, we can take a half step back there. But when you see Ole Miss, Tennessee, Missouri having the success that they are, that's when you have to start worrying that it's one thing if it's the top brands of your league. It's another, like, unspoken about this Wake Forest Ole Miss thing is, like, Wake Forest, you absolutely embarrassed the entire, like, yes, Florida State winning, not great. Wake Forest, with the best coach in college football, saying, nah, we don't want to play you next year. Here's $1 million for us not to go play you next year.
Mhm.
That's a really bad look for the ACC.
So, okay, I have some things to say on this. Number one, I'm going to give you the Wake Forest answer here, which is that they're going to make more money by basically holding Oregon State hostage because OSU needed someone desperately, and they need every dime they can. And they swear that it didn't actually cost $1 million to buy out of this.
Yeah.
But I get the public facing image of this is problematic. I would, to your point, Joe, it was not that long ago that you would have considered Ole Miss the Wake Forest of the SEC, right? And it wasn't that long ago that people said, maybe you can't win at Tennessee anymore because they just can't recruit the way that Georgia and Florida and Alabama can.
Mhm.
And, certainly Vanderbilt beating Virginia Tech is a freaking problem from an image standpoint. And so when I talk about recruiting, like, that's part of it.
Yeah.
Like, the middle and bottom tier of the SEC is catching up with everybody in the ACC now, and you have to start asking, why is that? Because that's a real bad scenario.
All right, so let's close on what I texted you about to bring you on, and that is your Grayson McCall feature. I know when you wrote that, it was originally intended to be like, all right, here's the next part of his career. It's a fresh start. It's getting past the injuries, the concussion where he blacked out in that detail. And then the thing that Joe and I have talked about consistently in relation to that story is we had never really heard the extent of what was going on with Grayson until that story. So now we've fast forward to here, and it just, even though we don't know what officially is going on, you can't help but think about the story you wrote in relation to Grayson McCall and what the rest of his year might look like.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of big questions here because, one, we are so much smarter about these things than we were 10 years ago, and it's very clear. And look, I don't. I think there was probably a short time period where he genuinely thought, I'm not going to play college football anymore. I'm not going to play football anymore.
Yeah.
But I also think he loves this sport. He really thinks he's capable of playing at the next level and wants to at least try. But I don't think he'd risk his life for it or his future for it. I will say from what I have been told, he is okay. I don't know whether that means, I'm okay and I'm going to go on living my life just fine, or I'm okay and I'll be comfortable getting back onto a football field and getting hit again. And even at that, I mean, like, I was texting back and forth with Andrea Adelson. I don't know, the other day. Who knows? They all run together anymore. But she was saying how like CJ offers this running ability, and you really maybe that helps behind a bad O line. And I was like, if this had been a year ago, we would have said the same thing about Grayson McCall. His career was based off of they thought he could run but not throw. And I just wonder how much part of this is just an NC State calculation too, of like our O line is not good enough to put this guy behind it right now, and we need somebody who is comfortable taking a few hits if need be. But NC State is not in the Florida State scenario because there is still a lot ahead of NC State. But if you've watched them for 3 weeks, despite the 2-1 record and not having lost an ACC game technically yet, I don't know anybody who's looking at this Clemson game and saying like, yeah, I think NC State's got a real chance to win. Like maybe they can, because I'm not going to say anything that Clemson can't. Like Clemson can fall off a cliff too. But
I think State's got a legitimate chance based on the defense. I'm not just because they hung a bunch of points on App State doesn't really give me an indication that defense cannot slow down what has been a stagnant, not peak Clemson offense. That's been the key differentiator the last 2 out of the last 3 years. A not peak Clemson offense has run into a defense at NC State that's been pretty darn good. But Joe, as we talked about with Dave Doran, we understand this isn't the same defense, but they might have something a little in the tank defensively. It's offensively, can they get over Clemson?
I mean, in fairness, their offense was pretty terrible when they beat Clemson last year. So, it can happen. But I guess my point is like, if you're saying like, we got to go with the veteran QB the rest of the way because I want to win the ACC, like they can still do that. But I watch this offense and I say like, unless it markedly is better moving forward, it doesn't look to me like a team that is going to be able to compete at the highest level in this league right now. Maybe again, maybe I'm wrong. So, but I think like Mike Norvell's talking about like, why haven't you benched DJ yet? And he said, well, he's given us a chance to win. And he's also cost you chances to win.
Yeah.
But like, I think they're smart enough to watch practice and say like, I know who the best option is, even if it's a bad option right now. And I still think, we could win 9 games. I don't think that's likely, but it's too early to say turn the page. NC State's in a little different situation, but I do think at some point, like if they go out and get killed by Clemson this week, then the calculus has to be like, what do we think we can be the rest of the year, and who gives us the best shot to get there? Like, what are our priorities?
Well, I'll say this about the story that you wrote, and obviously it came out before the Tennessee game. I thought it was instructive to how he played against Western Carolina, McCall.
Yeah.
He just looked tentative, and it's easy to forget too that he did miss 6 games last year. And again, it wasn't until I read your story where I was like, oh, those 6 games. And again, fair enough. I'm not up on all this stuff anymore, but like just to read the story and realize how severe the concussion actually was. Yeah. I mean, I think it's instructive to how he has played. He's just looked tentative to me. And I think it's because I'll say it again. I'll say it every week until we stop talking about it. Once you start thinking about it being over, it's over. I mean, it's that simple. Yeah. And you mentioned CJ Bailey, who I thought acquitted himself in a tight spot there against Louisiana Tech. The one thing you and Andrea were texting is the one thing he can't do. He can't run because now they don't have a backup.
Yeah.
Kind of like last year when Brennan came in, when Brennan came back in, it was like, well, just run them. We got nothing else. We'll keep running the ball. We'll use KC as a quarterback, running back, receiver. It'll be interesting to see how they can manage Bailey. I think the kid has a lot of poise. He comes from a program that was at a championship level in Florida, played with some really good players. I think that's a good thing for NC State. I think you're trying to get out of this weekend with him in a confident place. You don't want him questioning things. I think then you try to move forward over these last 8 games. But I thought you did a really good job on the story. I know you wrote it before the season started and before he got hurt a second time, but you really did a great job of framing kind of Grayson's story and kind of explaining the situation that State's in now. So that's great work on your part.
Well, thank you. And he's awesome. And that I look back on that 2020 Coastal season as probably one of my favorite seasons of a team I was not emotionally invested in.
Yeah.
So I hope he's fine. I hope he gets back out on the field. I hope he has a great rest of his year, career, life, whatever. Like he's somebody worth rooting for, in my opinion.
Dave, appreciate the time, man. And next time you're in Raleigh, let us know. And we've got some Lenovo swag for you as trade. And perhaps, can I interest you in a
He's got his own.
Can I interest you in a 2022 Duke's Mayo Bowl?
Okay. Yeah, that Mayo holds up well. That's what I'm told.
I mean, these are both expired. I also have expired. I also have the Mayo Classic from 2023 as well. So you let me know. We got
I'll
you.
list those in like a Mayo fan chat room on eBay or something, and we'll see what we get. But you're saying no to the $500,000 per show. Is that what I'm hearing here?
That's what I'm telling you. And
It's a no for me, dog.
And as as Giglio, if Giglio learned anything from me, I explained to him long ago, there's something for everybody on the internet. And I bet you there is a subreddit that trades Duke's Mayo branded swag.
Yeah, well, I got my tubby towel back here too. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
You guys.
So much college football talk, so many opportunities at Home Field Apparel. Check them out. Use the promo code OG24 to save 15% off your order. I've been given the green light from Giglio to get one of the coaches' jackets. The question is, which one?
I know. They got a lot of good choices.
They got great choices.
I like the Iowa one.
I know you like
That's
that one.
my personal preference, but you want to rep something else, I get it.
We talked about the hoodies. We talked about the jackets, but don't sleep on the hats. They got a great hat selection, and they just dropped some new corduroy hats. It's the fall season. You need to rock that corduroy.
I had
with the script, no less.
I had a corduroy Boston College hat growing up.
Oh, nice.
Man, I love that thing.
That's great. Big thanks to the Butcher's Market. The Butcher's Markets. Check them out online, thebutchersmarkets.com. They got something big cooking, literally. Catering. That is a thing for the Butcher's Market. So find out more at thebutchersmarkets.com. In the meantime, if you're looking to, I don't know, when the rain stops here in the Triangle.
Will it ever?
I mean, maybe. All I know is that weather apps have been useless all week.
You and Deion Sanders, apparently.
What did I miss with
I
Deion?
forgot he's not in your social feed.
Dude, I blocked that ass. I mean, I can't.
He was bickering with a reporter
About what?
whether it was going to rain before
geez.
Colorado's game this
Are
week.
people over this guy or what? At Colorado, at least. Are we over it yet? Like he was also
I
saying,
hesitate to bring it up, but
he was also saying something along the lines of like, "Oh, well, you're just jealous that these kids are making more money than you." And it's like,
well, not that part.
Okay,
I did agree,
dude.
but I did agree with the first part of his premise that back in the day we did not criticize college athletes. Back in the day,
no. But money
Back in the
changes
day.
everything.
right?
Money changes everything.
Right. I remember one of the first stories I wrote for the News and Observer. It was a high school story.
Yeah.
Tim Stevens.
Well,
was
it's technically coming out of a home field read, so we
Yeah.
are getting into some stuff here. Yeah.
Tim Stevens, like one of the nicest people on the planet, was like, "Hey, just so you know, like we don't write critical stuff of high school teams."
Did you write a critical story of a high school team?
And he was like, "You got." I was 20 years old, fresh out of Jersey in the New York Post,
But
man. Like,
still.
come on. Man. That's what he told me. I learned my lesson.
Okay.
And he was like, "Hey, just so you know, you gotta simmer it."
This is why we get 1-star reviews when the jersey comes out. Thebutchersmarkets.com. Check them out. Go get your marinated meats and everything. I'll probably be rolling by Butcher's Markets this weekend to go get. I need some whole split chickens
I got the
so I can put them on the cajachina.
maple bourbon.
Oh, I've had that on
Yeah.
the steak. That's actually really,
They do
really
it on
good.
the chicken as well. It's
Yeah,
delicious.
okay, very, very cool. Very, very cool. Hey, look, you've been eating, you've been tailgating. It's fine, man. You got to do what you got to do. When it's all said and done, head on over to O2 Fitness. O2fitnessclubs.com. So with O2 Fitness, yes, there are gyms. They're great gyms. Incredible staff, incredibly friendly, incredibly helpful. I go to the Seaboard Station. I'll probably be there this weekend because I need to sweat some things out. But it's more than just a gym. That's not just part of the jingle. You have Renew Physiotherapy, which Giglio, you are taking advantage of. And there's also Loop Nutrition. So you can find out more at o2fitnessclubs.com. Also, big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer. You can check them out online at wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer, attorneys and counselors at law. We might have a Shady's meetup tonight.
Let's do it.
All right, I'll tell my dad to meet up
Josh.
at Shady's.
Let them know. Get those Miller High Lifes cold.
Yeah, but you can have Dolphins man and Bills man together.
Well, no, it's more of Josh's wife than Josh himself.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Fair enough. Fair enough. from Ken. Home field trauma dump. There it is. Check.
It's more of
Indeed.
a story time than a trauma dump.
That's a
but,
good
you know.
point. That's a good point. So Dave Canales, Panthers head coach, met with the media yesterday, and he was hit with a few questions. Monday they announced, hey, Bryce Young's getting benched. This has caused all sorts of conversations.
Sunday, I am a robot talking to a robot.
My
Bryce
guy.
is my quarterback. Bryce is my quarterback. Bryce is my
Monday,
quarterback.
not so much. And then today, there's been a lot of speculation, or it was yesterday, I should
Let
say.
me guess. Andy's been amazing in practice.
Yeah, Andy's whatever. It was more. I was more curious about what he was going to say about Bryce Young after Monday's announcement and where Bryce Young is. And this is off the Panthers YouTube channel, just taking it straight from here. Here's what he had to say.
Dave, how has Bryce responded? How did he respond today?
Right back to work, dove into the game plan. We had our conversations in the QB room, just going around talking about reads, talking about what we see from the defense, followed it up with a great day on the field, some fantastic throws, and just got right back to work, which is exactly what I expected him to do.
In your conversations with Dan, is your understanding that you guys want to hold on to Bryce? There's been trade speculation. What's the deal on that?
Yeah, it's not something we're really considering. We have a great situation with our quarterbacks right now with guys that have experience. So we love where we're at, and we're all hands on deck. We're focused on playing the Raiders this week.
Moving on to Cincinnati.
Here's the problem with that positivity.
Yeah.
You can't say you're in a great situation and that you love where you're at. You have to give a little bit of honesty. I'm being serious right now. It would have been okay to say he was disappointed. He's a competitor. I understand that. But we think this is what's best for him.
Mm-hmm.
When you start with the sunshine and roses, though, and we're really testing you played this just to see if I would react. So it doesn't hurt.
I'm glad you're
doesn't-
figuring out what I do.
It doesn't hurt for him to just be honest.
Yeah.
Hey, he's disappointed.
Yeah.
And you want to give a more impassioned answer there as well. Are you thinking of trading him? No, not on the table. We're going to fix this thing. We're going to get this thing right. This is what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
See, when he gets into that default robot mode of sunshine and roses, that's the toxic positivity that turns so many people off from you. And you can't have that. There has to be some honesty to what you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's not authentic. I know when we would talk to our Charlotte people, that his worldview is positive, and that's the person who he is. But when you start projecting that falsely, you can't sit here and say everything's great. It's not. Your offense is completely inept.
It's terrible.
Completely inept. So don't lie to people. That's the part I can't stand.
Look, I asked going into week 2 how long it was going to take for Dave Canales to shift into looking like a guy who truly believed in the optimism he was projecting to. Man, this job is already like on you. And I'm not trying to belittle this. I'm not trying to make fun of it, because I don't want to coach a freaking football team. It'll break you, man. I mean, you saw Frank Reich before he took the job and when he got fired. I know you likened it to the goop, but still, it'll age you. And even Lisa, where did it go? Did Lisa delete her? I think Lisa, here it is. On the YouTube comments. Is it just me, or does Canales look like he hasn't slept all week? Dude is stressed. Yeah, it'll get to you. And it's testing his belief system in how I present myself and how I go about this. I don't envy him. But what I wanted to discuss, why I brought that up, is why at this point do you think that Bryce Young is salvageable with your organization? All right. Hear me out.
1 year and 2 games is not enough. Come on.
I agree. That's about Bryce Young individually.
Okay.
I'm talking about you as an organization. Sometimes decisions are made and it's very hard to come back from those decisions and your trust in the organization. Okay.
I.e. trading Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, and 2 number 1s to get the guy. Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think bringing up, do they trade Bryce Young, is a valid question to ask.
Absolutely.
And it's also one that I think they should do. They should trade Bryce Young. They need to understand the reason why they're here is because they went about building a team the wrong way. they put Bryce Young in a situation, like you brought up the whole Diet Tua thing, right?
Mhm.
Do we think that if Bryce Young was drafted by a team that had more in place and better organized, like you put him on the Dolphins, you put him on the San Francisco 49ers.
I was going to say, go perfect case scenario. Chiefs, Niners,
all that kind of stuff.
whatever
right?
coach you think is
Actually,
the
you know
best.
what? I'm going about this the wrong way. The question you need to ask yourself is it Bryce Young or is it the Panthers?
Can it be both?
It can, but let's work this mental exercise through. Everybody's salivating over CJ Stroud. Here's a guy who has wrecked it for any other rookie quarterback coming up because he was drafted, he came in, and he's looked great with the Houston Texans, okay? That's what Caleb Williams is being judged against. That is what Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels are being judged against. That's what Bryce Young obviously is being judged against. Put CJ Stroud on the Panthers. What's he looking like? Especially last year. Same circumstances. Same situation. CJ Stroud is drafted by the Panthers. What Frank Reich apparently wanted instead of what David Tepper wanted. What does CJ Stroud look like?
I would say he would be better than what Bryce Young did last year, just because it would be the quarterback that Frank Reich wanted.
Okay.
And you'd be more inclined to know how to use that person. It just seemed like last year, Frank Reich never had a great understanding of how to put Bryce Young in a position to be successful.
That's fine. That's fine. But as bad as that team was, you're not going to get the kind of rookie season that CJ Stroud had in Houston. You're just not.
Sure, he doesn't have the same players around him that he did.
That matters.
Sure.
Which gets back to the organizational issues with the Carolina Panthers. So if David Tepper is going to get true religion, here's what has to happen. You have to move on from Bryce Young and his completely broken confidence of playing football with your organization and see if he can have a resurrection somewhere else like we've seen, like we talked about, right? We're talking about the Baker Mayfield resurrection. We're talking about Sam Darnold's resurrection. There's any number of quarterbacks you can point to going, hey, heck, Geno Smith, okay? Geno Smith was a punchline for a long time. And Dave Canales is credited with helping Geno Smith get to a much more serviceable QB, a decent QB on a pretty good team in Seattle. So maybe you afford Bryce Young the opportunity to reset somewhere else and you get whatever value you can, which gets to my ultimate point. You have to, as an organization, do this the way you're supposed to do it. Build the team over the course of a couple of years and then find that rookie quarterback that'll put it all together. Okay. Now, it might not work out because it's not a surefire thing, but it's a much better plan than giving up everything with zero playmakers and having the crap sandwich that they had last year that's obviously carried over into this year. The other thing you would have to consider if you're the Carolina Panthers and going forward, you can't move on from Dave Canales. You just can't, because who's going to come work for you? You know, I think about
Didn't they already have that problem this offseason in hiring a coach?
That's what I'm saying. I think about the conversation we had with Will Brinson a couple weeks ago. And remember, Will was on it. So shouts to Will. Yeah. When he's like, oh yeah, Davey Boy. And like, let me tell you about Davey Boy. And like, you know, and I think it was Will who said like the only job he ever interviewed with was the Carolina Panthers. There was no real demand for Dave Canales other than the Carolina Panthers, which tells you where the Panthers are in the pecking order of jobs that you want. You are getting dangerously close to the Panthers being an organization that is so toxic that you can't find another coach that's better than Dave Canales to take that job. Number two, you need to stay off the block a little bit. You need to go into hiding a little bit. You got to make people forget about the last 2 years so that when you got to go get a quarterback,
You got to get suspended by the commissioner.
you kind of do.
You got to pull full Steinbrenner.
You do. To your point about that. Because if they have to go get a quarterback next year and they have the number one pick in the draft, and you brought up Deion Sanders, let's go through another thought experiment, another mental exercise. Do you think the Panthers, with the overall number one pick, and they want Shedeur Sanders, do you think Deion Sanders is going to let that happen? Deion Sanders has already said, he is on record saying, oh, this ain't going to go the way you think it's going to go. We will decide what team we are going to. So what makes you think he's going to go to the Panthers? So you can't get a rookie quarterback. You're going to find yourself in an Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, John Elway-esque situation.
Okay, Chargers getting Phillip, though.
Well, it did.
Yeah.
It did. But you were also labeled as a team that nobody wants to
Yeah.
play for, that sort of thing. So that's where the Panthers are at. And that's why I think getting all the way back to Bryce Young, trade him, just clean slate, completely clean
I think
slate.
it's too soon for that.
Get whatever you can for him to replenish in draft picks, get the number 1 pick, and then trade that bad boy out.
I'm okay with them trading the number 1 pick next year, but they will not recoup. They will not even get a second round pick for Bryce Young at this point. So
Okay.
I think you got, again, I think this year was all about seeing what you could do with Bryce Young. You do not get rid of him after 2 games.
Which I will repeat this to you. What can we get out of Bryce Young? Buddy, we've seen what we can get out of Bryce Young.
Trust me.
With the Panthers. I want to be fair to Bryce.
Again,
I want to be fair to Bryce. I've seen enough with him with the Panthers.
But you can't fantasy, not that you are.
Wish casting here.
Yeah, you can't fantasy book, right? Like, again, I said this the day I saw the guy at the combine.
Yeah,
you got the wrong guy. Actually, I saw it even before then because CJ Stroud was unbelievable against Georgia in a bowl game. And I said, what else are you people looking for here? He's playing the NFL team and he did unbelievable against him. I don't understand what you're judging I don't understand what your evaluation process is. Heck, I even texted my friends and I said, I wouldn't even take Bryce Young in the first round, period. He's not an NFL quarterback. But you have to try to solve the problem at hand right now. They can't go back and change what they already did. They can only deal with what they have at hand. And you have to try to salvage him. And I think if you trade him this year, the best value you could get would be what? Honestly, a second or a third round pick. Even that would be difficult to come by.
As Paul points out in the YouTube chat. So we're advocating for yet another Panther asset being traded for essentially nothing. What leverage do the Panthers have to get anything good for Bryce? Here's what I'll tell you.
They have no leverage.
Well, hold up. It's still early.
Well, you're right. Let's see Skylar
Thompson
Thompson flop. You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
I say, I've been making the joke. We're only 3 weeks into the season and we're dealing with Panthers hell, right? It's only week 3 of the season, yet it feels like with the Carolina Panthers, we're in the doldrums of December and everything sucks, right? It's still early for a lot of real contenders in the NFL, and you just named the guy that might not pan out, okay?
Yep.
We don't know what Skylar Thompson's capable of with the Miami Dolphins now that Tua's out for 4 games minimum. We also don't know what Tua's situation is going forward with his concussions.
Yeah.
Say what you want about Bryce Young. The one thing he's actually been good at. Wait, where is it? Hold up. Oh, hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Tell me something good. All the concerns about his size, all the concerns about his frame, all those concerns. The man has taken a beating. Has he been hurt?
Not only one fake injury, and that's it.
Tell me something good.
And David Tepper, bringer of music to Charlotte, creator of water in Charlotte, responsible for electricity in Charlotte, is going to ride the lightning. Metallica is headed to Bank of America Stadium.
When is that?
I don't know. You wanted something good. I came up with a new one today.
I saw Deftones is coming to Charlotte. I'm excited about that. Although I feel like I might have to have a conversation with Dimitri about the Deftones date in Charlotte. I think coincides with the date we're supposed to go to California with the Canes. Priorities, man. Priorities. Big thanks to DraftKings Sportsbook. Check them out online. DraftKings, the app. Use the promo code OG24. When you do that as a new customer, you will get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 plus 1 month of NFL Plus Premium only on DraftKings. You can really wager on just about anything. You're looking for anytime touchdowns. You're looking for what's going to happen on this drive. You can put together some $1 gang ladder. Like I'm going to turn this $1 on a live line into $2 into $3 XYZ. All that can be done on DraftKings. Really, really great options. And you can go to the app right now, download it, the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Use the promo code OG24. Bet $5, get $250 in bonus bets, plus 1 month of NFL Plus premium. What is the line?
Watch this galaxy brain. You ready?
Yeah.
You said your dad was back from Madrid.
Yes.
Okay. At first, I'm thinking to myself, he will not like my hammer play this week.
Okay.
But now I realize he's going to love my hammer play this week. South Florida at home getting 16.5 points against Miami. It has been some kind of dream start to this season for Miami.
Mm-hmm.
This is the equivalent, Miami going to South Florida. This is the equivalent of NC State or North Carolina going to Greenville or going up that mountain, going to the Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not saying South Florida's going to win this football game, but they're going to fight. So give me those 16 points. That's my hammer play of the week.
I took a no sweat bet on New England and the Jets.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers
Aaron,
under passing yards, or
Under.
what'd you do?
What'd you do? I mean, people are focused on Kirk Cousins. Man, Aaron Rodgers also looks old as hell.
Hey, Kirk Cousins is back, baby.
Yeah, I don't know.
Played well
I
on
think,
Monday night.
I missed it this week. The Nick Sirianni exchange with the reporter, and because Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator.
They're feeling it.
It's bad,
in
man.
Philly.
The other Joe Giglio's feasting on this.
It's unraveling.
So like Nick Sirianni was like, yeah, if you try to start something with Kellen Moore, he calls the plays. And then the reporter goes, well, you're the head coach, right?
I could possibly punch Kellen Moore if I saw him. Yes.
Oh,
So,
well, there is that.
yeah.
There is that.
Yeah.
So looking at the
now you're really
NC
testing
State,
the-
NC State and
Where's my hair
Clemson.
doing? What are we doing?
NC State Clemson.
Clemp is 20.5.
That
number is
I got,
gigantic.
I got plus 20 on DraftKings right now.
take those points. Come on.
I only have 68 cents. So
Go.
hold on, here's what I'm going to do. So when you say take those points, what do you mean? So I should take State plus 20?
Yeah. I mean, the line should be like 11.
Okay, so I need to put
The line's moved 13 points.
60. No. I need 0.68. That would give me $1.30 back.
Let's do it.
I've made the bet. And yes, I am now depleted in my account. We shall see what happens. I got the official. You want to add some money? No, because I'm going to make $1.30 back.
I'm just going to keep going.
I'm just going to keep going, man. Look, I'm having fun with it.
You
can
already
do that
took
on
Georgia Tech
DraftKings.
though this week, right?
I did take Georgia. Oh,
Okay.
I took your advice on that one. I was like, oh yeah, no, Joe's right.
Wait a second now.
Yeah, Joe's right about that. I definitely have to do that. What else? What's the James Madison Carolina line?
10.5. I kind of like the Heels this week though.
Okay.
Different coach at JMU, new quarterback at JMU. This has got an Amari and Hampton special written all over
Yeah, I
it.
can see that.
I do think Carolina's defense is better this year. They do have to clean up the penalties, as Ken has noted. 10.5.
Charlotte is a 28.5 point dog to Indiana.
That's where Kirk Cignetti, JMU's former coach, is now.
Yeah.
And they've been on like a tear so far. And Charlotte's bad. Charlotte's bad.
Ohio State's a 40-point favorite against Marshall. These are some insane lines, man.
The one that the one I would take the points would be Miami of Ohio is actually a pretty good defensive team.
Okay.
They're getting 28 points against Notre Dame. I don't think Miami of Ohio is going to win that football game, but I do think they will cover that number.
Are we doing an after dark or a dusk?
It's not going to be dark.
No, it won't be after dark.
But it'll be after a state Clemp and JMU UNC game this Saturday. Yes.
Okay. I think
Sponsorship TBD.
I think the owl will still be drunk.
Call me Kenneth.
The owl will still be drunk, right?
Yeah.
For the after dark, or the after
it's a
dusk,
Saturday.
or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Anyway, yeah, where were we? Oh yeah, DraftKings.
You got to hit the button. You got to do the thing.
No, I know. Use
We're
the
in Kansas, sir.
use the promo code OG24. Bet $5. You'll get $250 in bonus bets plus that NFL Plus premium for 1 month. Go check that out while Giglio's getting a beer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
Big thanks to Two Roosters. You can check them out, tworoosters.com. Joe got his super secret pint this week. You can do that. Go to any Two Roosters location.
No, you can't. I'm the only person allowed to be in the secret.
No. There's a QR code. It's not that secret. Scan that QR code, and you'll get linked up with the Two Roosters.
Kind of
Secret
hurts. I
Pint.
thought I was special.
Look, man, I'll get into this a little bit.
Wish I was special.
I'll get
I
into
won't
this
sing the whole lyrics.
I'll get into this a little bit later. So I worked the Creed show yesterday. Again, we'll talk about it a little bit later in Hey Joe, because I had a lot of response yesterday. But to your point about feeling special, look, you have to card everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I got to card you.
Yeah, like if I walked up, you're like, cool.
I know you're over 21. I still have to card you because
eye in the sky.
ALE could be watching me.
Okay.
Straight up. So I had a lot of older gentlemen that would come up.
Why are you guarding me?
Oh, some of the like the one face I got from a guy when I said, "Hey man, gotta see your ID." He's like, "Excuse me?"
Pardon me?
And then the other person's like, "Oh man, oh, that's very flattering." I go, "Look, man, I thought it was flattering too when that first happened, but now that I'm working, yeah, I got to do it. Sorry, you're not that special." So you're not that special, Joe, but our listeners are, and they can go get that QR code at Two Roosters. So go check them out. Big thanks to Matt Davis, State Farm, 919-779-8277. You can call them directly, and you can also go to the website, insuregarner.com, theoginsurance.com. Most importantly, save money. In fact, your money savings continue even after you first sign up. We had a follow-up email with somebody who had switched over to Matt Davis State Farm, and he's still finding ways to save money.
Love it.
What more do you want? So again, call Matt Davis directly at 919-779-8277. We're talking about home and auto, right? Saving money on that. Well, maybe you need a new home. Maybe you got to sell your house. Situations change. Hometown Realty. Check them out. myhtr.com. You can buy and sell with confidence. Joe, please explain to the people why a guaranteed offer is silly.
Well, you're leaving money on the table. I mean, you have number one asset. That's your house. Why would you shortchange yourself in your number one asset? Go with the experts. Go to myhtr.com.
So while I was working the Creed show at Walnut Creek, I saw some Roback polos out and about. You got the Roback on today. Incredibly comfy hoodies.
It's well hidden today, but yes, this is Roback.
So check them out, roback.com. Use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order.
I've also decided to bump Ben and the crew up to the Golf Classic is now the Roback OG Golf Classic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down with it. I was wearing my Roback shorts yesterday while working the Creed show. Super, super comfy. Moisture wicking. It was all good.
Speaking of that OG Golf Classic, you been at the range at all? Because
no.
There's going to be groups depending on you.
No.
We're raw dogging this thing.
Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hale.
I was going to make a raw joke. No, not going to do it.
No, but listen. I know we're in Happy and Hale mode.
Yeah.
Justin, seriously, I have no idea. Because there are whole brownies in that fudge made brown. I don't. Jared's like hand packing these things.
He is.
I know, but it's like, how could you possibly have that much brownie to put in this ice cream?
Yeah.
And how do they keep them fresh? I don't know, man.
Don't know. I don't know. Do not know.
I don't know.
So check out Happy and Hale.
No. See, now wait a second, Mike.
What?
Wait a second. Wait a second, Mike. No, we're new and improved.
Yeah. We'll get to that. So Happy and Hale, check them out. Download the app. Makes it super, super convenient for you to get in and out. Look, you're busy at lunch. We're in that situation today, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're over at the new Lenovo Center. Got to grab something real quick. All you got to do is you're sitting in the parking lot, put in an order.
App.
Boom,
Bang.
done. It's ready for you when you get there. It's all thanks to our friends at Happy and Hale. So go download that app today and take advantage of some really, really great food in a convenient form thanks to the app. So this week feels like a bit of an inflection point when it comes to the podcast and cursing. I don't know how we got here. Maybe it's because we made a deal out of it because one of our listeners, Rodney, had suggested our podcast to a family that was on a travel sports weekend road trip with kids in the car. And Joe's like, F this and F that.
It was
blah, 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 blah.
It was the Clemson.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. With the double birds and everything else.
Yeah.
So I get a new review, 1 star. We're now at at least on Apple, not on Spotify, but on Apple, we are now at 4.9 stars.
Okay.
You know how I feel about this.
I do.
5 stars
Very
only.
strong.
5 stars only. Positive vibes only. And a gentleman by the name, I'm assuming it's a gentleman, so this person, I should say, JP Gopak.
Oh, is it from me?
I don't know. 1 star. Love you guys, but can't play it with my kids in the car. Explicit language adds nothing to the show. We'll tune back in once you guys tone it down. I actually agree with that statement that blurting out expletives doesn't exactly add much to it. Now, I will admit that sometimes cursing comes in the form of a natural conversation. People naturally curse.
Sure.
And when it kind of like, this happens to me every so often, I'll just be like, shit, man. Like that is just a very conversational way of doing it. But I can see where dropping F-bombs liberally when Jersey Joe comes out. And I want to give you
license.
Not license per se, but I want people to understand it's not a bit with you. When you get, it's like a
when I get going, I get going.
It's, you know what it's like? It's like it's like an Instapot.
Yeah.
Right?
A simmer.
No, not a simmer. It's when you got to let the valve out.
Oh.
So, like if you have Instapot, you put everything in, it does the thing. You have to like let it build up the steam. And then when it's finally time to get it going, you got to do the release. And all that steam comes out. And I feel like sometimes it happens. I think that happens with you sometimes, where the steam release is just a bunch of F-bombs. And you go full Jersey.
Probably should chart it around those quarterly taxes as well. You might find a correlation.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't think about that.
There you go.
I didn't think about that. I know when you are sweating money, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's when the other Jersey Joe starts coming out. And I feel like I'm in an episode of Sopranos where in front of the meat market, right? In front of the pork.
Satrielli's.
Yeah, Satrielli's, right? In front of the sausage store. And we're all just kind of, hanging around and you're coming up with the latest, I don't know, we're going to sell phone cards, on the low. We're like, hey, a buddy of mine's got access to these really nice suits. And all we got to do is jack that semi-truck full of suits.
Once again.
And then we can sell it to the open market.
Once again, my people are the only ones we're allowed to stereotype and still make jokes about.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
I mean, what are you talking about?
Substitute anything else for
Joe,
Italian, and you cannot make those jokes anymore.
Joe, may I introduce you to my cousins to the south?
Which ones?
My friends, the Mexicans.
Well, they get picked on by every.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. And
they should not get picked on.
And, because of the way that I look, every so often I get the, what is it that your people eat?
Your people.
What do you mean by people? Let me explain something to you. Cubans do not do spicy.
Mi gente.
Cuban food and Mexican food, we ain't the same.
You and me.
We ain't the same, man.
We might need to track down CJ just to give us the soundbite.
Alive in person. Hey, Giglio, you and me, we ain't the same. What else do we have in the in Hey Joe? Oh, we're gonna talk about this on OG Business with me and Dimitri next week. But Adrian Wojnarowski dropped his own Woj bomb.
Shut it down. He put out the statement saying, hey, look, this job is a 24/7 job. He's going to go be the general manager at St. Bonaventure, which is where he graduated from. Mm-hmm.
And there's been a lot of conversation about Woj and his impact on the industry and everything else. And yeah, I mean, I don't think we talk about reporters like we were talking about Woj if it wasn't for a lot of the things that he kind of changed the game. Right down to forcing the NBA draft to be done differently. Because when he was working at Yahoo, he would just tweet it out minutes before the picks.
Yeah, mad respect for everything that Woj did, but I preferred Bergen Record and Yahoo Woj to ESPN Woj.
Okay, so I'm curious about that because Woj was the first one and might be the only one who perfected, at Yahoo in particular, of being an insider while also being a columnist.
Yeah. Well, at the Record, he really swung the hammer at the local teams. And I mean, obviously you're rife with the Knicks and Nets drama, and especially when the Nets were back in Jersey, like, come on, man. Like they were a calamity, right? So he really perfected that art of being able to swing the hammer, and still get information.
Yeah.
So obviously the ESPN, it's a little bit different. And I don't like, it's not that I don't like I don't like the Schefter model of basically, oh, here's a tweet 5 5 minutes before the Vikings release that they've done whatever move that they've done. Like, that's not what Woj was. But I think that's what ESPN wanted.
Well, because
You know
ESPN,
what I mean?
ESPN had to hire him and Jeff Passan,
Right.
because essentially those were the two guys at
They were just
Yahoo
beating 'em
that were
left and
breaking
right.
news all the time,
Yeah.
and they had to, and it became a thing.
Yeah.
Like, they would go out of their way not to credit
Right.
Woj or Jeff
Passan.
Passan.
Yep.
Which was pretty crappy. And they said, well, fine. If we're going to be the place that everybody talks about, well, then we're going to have to hire these guys. I have a theory as to, I get it. With Wojnarowski specifically.
I mean, Woj is 5 years older than me. I think he was 55.
He's
in that
55.
release.
I've only met Woj twice.
Yeah, that picture of you. Wow.
What?
Did I choose violence at the start of this podcast?
Yeah, you did. What picture of me?
Oh, you didn't see it? Was it Dimitri?
What are you talking about?
Oh, Dimitri tweeted a picture.
Oh,
of
with
you.
me, Woj, and Dimitri?
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
So much hair.
I know. This is what happens when I work with you.
I know.
You notice I've gotten fatter and I've lost hair.
I'll put the glasses back on.
Just saying. But yes, I had a lot more hair in that picture. You're right. I was also thinner.
I didn't notice that part. I did notice. That
I don't think
hair,
I fit. I don't fit in that suit anymore.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, dude.
At first, I didn't have my actual glasses on,
Yeah,
and I was like, who is that person with Dimitri?
it's me.
I was like, oh, it's obvious.
Yeah, it's me. Less hair. No, I've only met Woj twice. Once was when he was still in columnist mode and he had written the book, Miracle at St. Anthony. He was doing a tour. He was here doing a speaking tour. He came to the old 850 The Buzz studios.
Yeah.
Incredibly nice man.
Oh, yeah.
Incredibly nice man. And the same thing at the National Sports Media Association.
His jersey is the opposite of my jersey. Yeah.
Incredibly nice.
Yeah.
However, I do have a working theory as to why Woj might have found himself here, and it's related to Pat McAfee.
Could be.
Because Pat McAfee started to needle Woj with Shams.
Yeah.
Shams being his Padawan,
Right.
who ended up becoming his own thing, which obviously, the egos in this business. And Pat McAfee went out of his way to needle Wojnarowski. And if you know anything about the power dynamics at ESPN, you don't do that.
Right.
But because Pat McAfee's on his own level, doing his own thing, there's no repercussions for Pat McAfee. And during the whole Dan Hurley business with the Lakers, they would Pat would bring Shams on.
Orchestrated, yeah.
Absolutely bring Shams on to tweak Woj.
Yeah.
And I think Woj got to a point saying, man, if I'm killing myself for this company to be your insider and the money's good, if I'm not going to get respect anymore, well, then I'm out.
Ultimately, I think it might have been a bit more of a baseline of, and you and I have had this conversation before. I think it was 2017 or maybe it was before Jessica had gotten sick. And I think I had said to you, like, I don't know how many more of these games I can cover.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
like that used to be the reward. You go to the game, you cover the game, and that was your reward.
Yeah.
And when that became not fun anymore, you start to ask yourself, how much do I want to do this?
Yeah. Oh, I ask myself that all the time.
Like, he's out here tweeting about, like, the Celtics 18th man getting a two-way contract. Like, would you rather do that, or he was talking about spending time with his family and doing stuff with his family?
Yeah.
Also, by the way, when you make a lot of money, guess what? Guess what you don't want to really do anymore? All the things you had to do to make all that money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
No.
you start wondering, what is this sacrifice for? In his case, he's got a job at St. Bonaventure's. We're not going to have to pass the collection hat for him or have a bourbon raffle, but we will have a bourbon raffle for OG Golf Classic. So be on the lookout for that.
Speaking of my sacrifice, we'll get out of here on this. I did work the Creed show yesterday.
Yeah, you did.
And
oh, no.
So they
Is
had
that a Cowboys jersey?
Yes, for $125 in the merch table.
That's actually not that expensive. Is it an actual jersey?
Yeah, it's an actual jersey.
Oh, geez.
So it is a Scott Stapp, lead singer of Creed.
Yeah.
Cowboys inspired jersey that he wore during the infamous Thanksgiving halftime show on Fox. However, back in 2001. When I saw that, I geeked out. I had to tweet that out. Shout out to JJ, who put that into the NFL cycle. I also thought it was funny that there's this shirt, the greatest halftime show ever, Creed halftime, Dallas Cowboys, Denver Broncos, November 22nd, 2001. Let me explain something.
That's
to you.
amazing.
Let me explain something.
That
to you.
is amazing.
The people watching at the Creed show was off the charts. I love doing these Enlo marching band fundraising events at Walnut Creek for concerts because the crowds always deliver, right? And because we're the Red Oak Hummingbird Hellas one, and we're the only spot that has Bold Rock cider, the only cider in the place, we have very specific people who come up, right? And Red Oak drinkers are Red Oak drinkers, man. They love Red Oak. And this is where I realize I've been drinking for a really, really long time, and I have to question myself about why I know these things. So I'm working with some other people in the marching band, clearly not people who have done a 919 beer podcast, Vice podcast for over 10 years. So there were a couple like hardcore Red Oak drinkers who came up saying, yeah, man, I'll get a Redbird.
Oh,
do you know what a Redbird is?
No,
I do. So the two other parents that were there looked up in confusion, like, excuse me, what is a Redbird? I was like, I got this. So it's half Hummingbird Hellas Lager, half Red Oak Amber Ale.
Nice.
It depends on how you want to do it first. You want to do the lager first, or you want to do the ale first. Either way, of course, I just had that. You know, you have those moments like, why do I know this? And it's because I've been drinking for a long time.
Adam.
Yeah. I can blame Eshball for that. I could definitely blame Eshball for that. Shout out to the people who came by the Enloe Marching Band spot yesterday. Said, hey man, enjoy the show, all that kind of stuff. And of course, left a tip for the Enloe Marching Band, because remember, it's not for me.
The children are our future.
I'm not getting paid for this. It's for the children. All right.
Think of the children.
Think of the children. Which is why we won't curse anymore, Joe.
Who owes me now? Made it the whole episode.
No, you did not curse.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. You didn't curse. You're good. Good for you. I'm proud of you. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up. We will see you for an after dusk, an after party, an after dark. Maybe.
Something.
We'll
the
do
owl
something.
will be there.
Yes, the owl will be drunk. I may or may not be.